Hi, I'm Jonah, and this is Supra. It's a new Eurorack module. I also made the module Pet Rock, and Supra is a CV time travel playground, which is a fancy word I've come up with to describe this multi-mode module, and it's 4 new experiments in Supra time, which is where the name comes from, which is a word from Curtis Rhodes and the book Microsound, to describe a time scale that changes beyond the length of one engagement with a piece of music, or in this case with a tool. So that means it changes really slowly over time between uses, not just while you're using it. So how it works is there are 4 sub-modules, let's say items, that you can put in either half of the module. So these 2 halves are identical, the left half and the right half. And in Supra, these are called hands. So when you click the swap button, that changes which hand you're looking at. And if you hold the swap button, that lets you place a new item in that hand. So you can also hold the same item in both hands, and there'll be like 2 different copies of them that behave independently. So this just changes what you're looking at, but they'll still continue functioning with all the ins and outs when you're not looking at them. So it lets you have 2 things at the same time. All the controls in each mode are through this little joystick nubbin, which is up, down, left, and right, and click. And then there's menu, and some of the modes also use this option button. So I'm just going to quickly get going. So do a really fast overview of the modes. So let's just zoom in a little bit. So first mode is stamp. Stamp is a CV generator. Let's just plug it in immediately, and that'll help sort of clarify how it works. So the way that stamp works is the further away from the center that this little ball is that's tracing the line of this image, the further away, the lower the voltage, and the closer, the higher the voltage. And as you get closer to the center, the ball moves a little faster. As you go further away, it moves a little slower. And there are 365 of these images that I have hand authored. Some of them are really abstract like this. Some of them are even more abstract than this. Some of them are much less abstract. And you get 1 each day. So it's like a year-long series of images. There's also themes per month, and there's 1 new one per day. The way that you can control it is with the joystick. If you go right, that will extend the tail of the loop. And if you go left, it will shorten the tail. And then if you go up, the whole loop will shift towards this head. And if you go back, the whole loop will shift away. And you can change things like the speed. You can change how much faster it gets in the middle. So this is a little bit more pronounced, where it gets a lot slower on the outside. And then you'll see when it gets to the middle, it gets faster. Let's make that even more. You can make it really fast, and you can also make it really slow. So that's stamp. You're kind of finding loops there. You can also use a clock input to reset the position. There's a couple different loop modes. Okay. I'm going to try to go really fast because there's 4 different modes. So that's stamp. The next mode is called Cryptex. So Cryptex is a gate rhythm sequencer. And how it works is each 3 hours, you get 3 new words from the Odyssey, Homer's The Odyssey. And those 3 words are translated into this block here of Morse code. And you get to play through that Morse code as rhythms and then constrain it into smaller loops. And yeah, basically, let's get a clock in there and you'll see what I mean. So I'm going to use a clock input. Cryptex has an internal clock, but you can also clock it externally, which I'm going to do right now. So now this notes, we're just using the trigger input of this voice, and we're hearing the rhythm. So that's the full rhythm. And if you click with the joystick, now you get to move around the loop point and make it shorter or longer. So then when you're not clicked, the left and right will rotate the entire rhythm. So the last step will become the first step, or like basically we go through, it's still all the same content, but we're looping through a different section now. So that lets you keep the length of the loop the same, but change what's inside of that loop. So we're kind of like poking through and trying to find something we like. That's kind of nice. So that's Cryptex. And I'm actually going to use Cryptex still. Let's leave it on something really simple, like this little 16th note kind of pattern thing. And then we're going to take a stacking cable and we're going to mold it. So Cryptex's output is going to serve as the input now for the right hand. So that's a little self patch. And in the right hand, we're going to open Chime. Chime is a melodic sequencer. And the way that Chime works is I've taken a bunch of different scales, and I won't get into all the details, but basically during different times of day and over longer periods of time, you'll get a scale to use. And you can place notes in that scale. So this is kind of based on the idea of scales to use for different times of day, which is something that is used in Indian classical music. So let's start making a little sequence. It's kind of funny to do it. Now we're going to be doing it in media res. So now we have that sequence going, and now let's just plug it into the volt per octave on the voice. So repeat it a couple of times. You can also change the octave. Now let's go back to Cryptex and change the rhythm up. And the other thing you can do in Chime is you have control. There's one way to edit an existing sequence, and that's by picking up a note like this and moving it around. Back to something really simple for rhythm. Okay, and then for the last mode, I'm going to just quickly switch to this drum machine I have over here. So this is called Abacus, and it's probably the most similar to my previous module, Pet Rock, in that it's a dual channel rhythm sequencer, and it's kind of demonstrative of what I'm trying to do with Supra new, which is rather than generating patterns, rather than generating content, I want to generate a tool, a very specific tool that forces you to work in a weird or unconventional way. So Abacus is a dual channel rhythm sequencer, but all it gives you is two lengths that you're locked into. So that's one, every day you get two lengths that you have to use. And so let's quickly look. So like right now it's one 13 length rhythm and one 8 length rhythm. So that's just a little 4 on the floor. The option button is going to show us our other feature of this, which is that every day you also get one skip step. So the skip steps, there's one that plays every other, every third, every fourth. So today we have the every other step that we are kind of allowed to place. So it just makes it a little more rhythmically complex, or gives you a little bit more kind of flexibility, but in a very constrained way. So that's the kick. Let's then make the other one a hi-hat. Okay, thanks for watching. I'm gonna try to sell it close to at cost. It costs a little bit more to make than Pet Rock because there's a screen, and well, the screen's like $6, just so you know. That's how much a screen costs. This type of screen costs $6. But it's probably about $50 in materials, and then I have to pay somebody to assemble it, and I've got to pay someone to distribute it, and I got to pay someone to wrap it up in a box and ship it to you. So that might be more like $70, but also that's before taxes, tariffs, all that stuff, and I'm US based, so I'm kind of seeing, but I'd like to have it out fully in the next month or two. That's kind of my goal. So you can sign up to hear more about it, and I think I'm just gonna announce when they're ready. I don't think I'm gonna do what's that called, pre-sale, but I think I will try to make as many as people want. So I'm gonna try to make them not scarce. Try to just keep making them until people don't want them anymore. Okay, which hopefully will be a very long time, or not for my logistics brain. Okay, thanks so much. Hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.